says, Daddy, he says, I'm in Fort Collins. Can you come get me? I said, I'll be right there. And I had asked your dad. I said, will you go with me? And he said, you call me. And he said, I've got somebody lined up to take the route, and then I'll with you. And your mom was pregnant with Lamisa at that time. She got a car sick, I remember that. So the next morning, he come down, and he drew Mom and Dad. And he said, let her go out there. What's the matter with you? My God. Finally, Dad told him to shut up. This is our daughter, not yours. So he took off. Well, then we come home on a Saturday. And then we danced down Hamlin Saturday night. So everybody in Hamlin knew we got married. And Ed and Ethel stood up with us. So we came with two of ours.
Where did you get married?
Council Bluffs.
Oh, and Ed and Ethel come down? Oh.
So we got married in Council Bluffs. Then we come back and there was dance in Hamlin that Saturday night. We walked in and everybody was waiting for us. And they were standing there with their ice. And we walked in the door and they just threw ice all over us. Danced, but that wasn't our wedding dance. So then we both had been drinking quite a little. We couldn't get too far, so we went to Ogden and stayed in the motel up there for the night. Well, the next day was Mother's Day. Well, then we went to Grandma Laura for a little bit. We went back up to folks a little bit. And on Monday morning, he got the mail. He got the papers to return to Fort Leonard for the rest of his 2 years. So we went out to Grandma Laura for Mother's Day, stayed there Sunday night, and then Monday morning we took off for Fort Leonard. Stayed down there 3 years. I was with them. We came home on Mother's Day and Christmas, and 2 or 3 times a year. Then we got out. We bought that little house in Hamlin. And then we got into the flood. Well, we had Sherry and Brian. Yeah. The flood.
That was 58?
58. And then your mom and dad used to come down on Saturday nights. I don't remember who you were with.
You bet.
Yeah, and your dad and Herb would go to the tavern and stand. You kids, I don't know what you did. We had that little bitty house. Remember that? It wasn't much room.
Yeah, and Ed's lived next door.
Yeah, Ed's lived next door.
And we was always in that lot. I mean, we just run around Hamlin is what we did.
Yeah. Then we had
Darwin let us all over.
Yeah. So then we had. So then your mom and I would go to dance, and Herb would be working at the tavern, and everything. So then, that was it, I guess.
What do you remember about vacations in Minnesota?
Well, you was with up there too.
Yeah, but what do you remember?
No, I don't remember much about it. I know we went up there.
You went sometimes.
Yeah, we went several times up there,
Play cards?
No, we didn't play cards. Dick and Elner was with.
Yeah.
Elner and I went out on the boat a few times. The men went out in the lake.
All the time?
Yeah.
Trolling?
And then they fished and brought in fresh bullheads, and we fixed them for dinner. We had potatoes and milk gravy and fried fish.
Yeah.
So that was neat. About it?
That's it, huh?
That's it.
The rest of it's history.
That's the rest of it's history. Then when we was in the flood, of course, then we had to stay in that house down there because we was the only one who owned the house down in that neighborhood. Red Cross fixed our house up, and we could go up and get furniture. We'd get new furniture, but not real expensive furniture. There was just a little house, and didn't take much, And so we got furniture in that house, and then we moved to Audubon. And well, you remember we lived up there. You come up there several times too.
What do you remember about your folks?
I never got a whipping.
You never got a whipping?
Never got discipline. Only that you go with him out there.
Yeah.
Come back and stuff. Oh, then when we come back, Nadine and I come back, got off the bus, and we stopped down there by bus stop down there across the school where the bus depot was. I said to Nadine, God, what am I going to do if I can't get in the house? And she said, well, then I had been working at the grocery store out of Hamlin, and he said I could go for 2 weeks, my boss. And so I thought, well, I have a job there, that'll be fine. And so then I said to Nadine, well, how am I going to get home? And she said, well, you go home, and if your folks won't let you in, you come stay with me. So I had to walk up the hill there, and I come in the door. Mom said, oh, Betty, I'm so glad you're back. And Dad says, oh, I'm so glad you're back.
Did your
then I went down Monday, he was going to have a job, and he didn't want me anymore. He'd hired somebody else. So I was out of work.
Yeah. Well.
Oh, God.
So did your folks come over from Denmark, or what?
Dad did.
Your dad did?
That's what I said, I started going with Herb. I said, his dad's name is Marius Christensen. And Dad said, well, I knew him a long time before you did, because he said, we come over they were the same ship.
Oh, they came on the same
That was
ship.
kind of neat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's neat. So, but your mom was second generation here, or
She
something?
lived here north of Kimmelton.
Oh.
Yeah, was born and raised north of Kimmelton. She's a Mortensen.
Yeah. And you were related to the Markisons?
Yeah.
How were you related to
Well,
Markisons?
let's see, mom's dad and Bestimore, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Bessemore.
Bestimore's mother was sister and brothers. I think.
Oh,
That's kinda
so
how-
you were related to Eve and Hank?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when Herb and I got married, well, Herb said, well, he said, Eleanor's related to you, and Hank was his brother.
Hmm.
Anyway.
So anyway,
Yeah.
okay, we're recording. This is Gary Larson. We're at the family reunion in August 7th, 2005, and we're going to just talk a little bit about growing up and Christmases and whatever. I guess, what do you remember about your mother's side of the family? Do you remember your first Christmases that you remember?
I don't. I remember a lot of Christmases spent at Grandma Christensen's out on the farm, and then later when she moved into town, they were always, lots of family, lots of cousins, lots of my mom's brothers and sisters, and lots of good food. There's always a goose and a duck or ducks, and sometimes a turkey, but. It was just, it's a wonderful, warm feeling. There was a close-knit family. They got together regularly, not only at Christmas and Thanksgiving and other holidays, but as I was growing up, we always, every Sunday, when they're after church, we would drive from Harlan, where I lived, to rural Kimmelton or to the old farm west of Kimmelton when Grandma Christian moved in town. Every Sunday, we'd never fail that 3 or 4 other family members, my mom's brothers and sisters would be there. Just good times and good food, and it was a.
What do you remember about Marius or Laura in particular?
Well, Laura was she was really a good cook, and she was a really hardworking, good Danish stock, and that she had worked hard all life, and she was she devoted to her family. She loved her kids, and they loved her, but hardworking, and always kept a nice, orderly house. And
Do you remember your brother playing Santa Claus over there at
oh
home?
yes, my brother. That was always a big thing at Christmas.
Your brother
time.
was Jack.
Yeah, right. He's 5.5 years older than me, but before Jack was playing Santa, he was one of those kids that couldn't wait till after the dishes were done, because Santa Claus didn't come to Grandma Christensen's until all the dishes were done. And kids, all the cousins, they would get so excited, we were just ready to burst at the seam. And then there would be a knock on one of the back windows, bedroom windows, and once the last dish had been put away, and people would settle down. And one of I think early on, it was either Uncle Henry or Herb or I don't know who, if Arnold did or Ed. I'm not sure who all was out there in the early years, but later on, my brother was a regular Santa Claus. I may have done it once or twice, but it was the highlight of the evening, of course.
And we remember, coming over to your house and going down on the golf course. You would take us down, and we hadn't seen golf, and you lived right next to the course.
Yeah, we had a beautiful house and farm, 160-acre farm right south of Harlan Golf and Country Club. The house is still there, and the farm is gone. Part of the farm is now part of the golf course. A lot of the farm is houses all over, and a lot of industrial area. But it was a wonderful place to grow up. I can remember I helped my dad a lot with farm chores, with thrashing, making hay. I remember he letting me take a team of horses when I was 10 years old, take it out to rake hay in one of our fields, and I felt pretty grown up at that point in time. Those big old plow horses, and it was a wonderful life there, and to live on a farm next to a golf course. I spent a lot of time up there, and next to, in the town of Harlan. So I was a city kid, I was a farm kid, but I think it was the greatest place ever to grow up.
You were talking about earlier to cousin Eleanor about a horse.
Yeah, I was actually it was really a pony, but it was big enough to be a horse. But it was the pony's name was Pat, and Pat had a propensity to go where Pat wanted to go, and particularly if there was somebody riding on. She didn't like to be ridden particularly well. She liked to be on her own. Put a saddle on her and climb up on her, and she'd like to take you under a low tree, try to knock you off with a tree branch, or we had a clothesline out in the back, beyond the backyard fence, and several times I had to fight the horse to keep from going underneath the clothesline, because the horse knew that it could knock somebody off. And one time it did. Eleanor mentioned that it only took her off, but it took me off, and I landed on top of her. But Pat was rather ornery and had a mind of its own.
Did you have Pat a long time? I mean,
well, it was I don't know. Actually, it was. It really wasn't my horse. It was a fellow by the name of Tom Carpenter who lived up in town. He boarded the Pat out on our farm. We had other horses, but so it was just sort of we could ride it when we could catch Pat. And I remember one other time I took Pat. I had a cousins that lived about 7 miles from us, and Erickson's. I liked to go over there. My folks let me ride Pat over there, but first mile of the trip was along Highway 59, and Pat was not used to semis going by or cars or anything else going by. But so I had to ride down in the ditch when we were on the taking along the highway, and then even sometimes I had to go to tie her up at a fence post here now and then just to keep her from getting too excited. But we made it. It was a long ride.
Eleanor was talking about a barn you had out there. What was so unique about the barn?
Eleanor liked, I guess, particularly the pigeon loft that my grandfather had built. He built the barn. He built the house.
What was his name?
C.P. Larson, Chris Peter Larson. He had been quite successful. Came over from Denmark. He had been came over at 14. Never saw his family, brothers and sisters again. He went to Oregon and herded geese for a while, and then I guess things didn't go that well out there, so he came back to the Midwest in Shelby County, where there are lots of Danes, and set up farming there. But now, what was the question?
He had built the barn?
He had built the barn. Okay, there we go. Now we get distracted. Yes, he had a pigeon loft that he built up there. It was a separate little area that pigeons could roost in, and there was a little door that you could open up, and we fed them in there. And there was like 3 areas where they could land on the outside, and little holes there that they could get in and out of it. So
was there a bench in there?
Yeah, there was a bench, right.
That's it. And you used to go up there to get away from your brother?
Well, that's what Eleanor said. People always have a better memory of the details. I was always trying to get away from my brother. He was 5.5 years older than I was. And we used to drive my mother crazy, but that's only, I guess, natural.
But there's a picture of you in a Jeep. You said that was Jack's Jeep?
Yeah, that was Jack's Jeep. He was working for the Shelby County at the time, and I probably wasn't old enough to drive, although or at least I didn't legally. I couldn't drive. I did drive very young, just driving around the farm. But
what did he do?
He was an inspector for the county. I later on worked for the county for 4 or 5 summers. First as a surveyor, and then as a road inspector, and so. Worked for the state of Iowa for a couple of years as a road inspector, building interstate highways. And that was all when I was just going to school. It was summer work that kept me out of trouble.
And you know, when we used to visit your place, you had a very interesting driveway, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We had it was along the south side of the house in Harlan. Now it's just you know, you can't see it as a driveway because it's all been filled in, but it was a really treacherous driveway, especially to maneuver in the wintertime. The snow would blow in over the top of the hedge, and there was a big bank down, and it was probably a 40-foot drop in a 250-foot driveway. There was two sections to it, and the lower section was quite steep. Fortunately, there was a dirt area off to the side. The driveway was paved concrete, and there was a dirt area that you could go down if you got in trouble with this concrete and ice. It was got too slick trying to stop the car. You always could bail out on the right side and get off into a snowdrift or something like that. But,
yeah, and the Chicken Hut was always across from you.
Chicken Hut was a landmark in Harlan for many years. It was a nightclub. There was lots of things went on over there. Some of it legal, much of it not legal. A lot of gambling, lots of liquor bootlegging went on.
The Chicken Hut was a legend.
Yes, right. There's lots of gambling of all sorts. It was all illegal, but it had good food. They had lots of people come from miles around, from all over. One thing I can remember that when I was going to school and my brother was going to school, I think I was probably about 6 years old, and he was 11. We came down the bottom of the hill one day in that steep driveway, and we're waiting for the school bus. We normally didn't ride the school bus. We only had about a mile to school, but when it was certain times of year cold, we'd catch a school bus. They would pick us up because we lived technically in the country, although we usually walked to school. But we walked down the bottom of the driveway, and across the way was the driveway to the Chicken Hut, and laying there was a black bag. My brother went over and picked it up. This was, I was 6 years old, so this was about in the 40s, 43 or something like that. And during the war, it was tough times. Opened up, there's a purse had fallen out of somebody's vehicle, leaving the Chicken Hut. Opened up, it was $120 in the billfold. That was a lot of money in those days. And I remember we ran back up to the house and opened it up, and my mother opened up the purse, and we saw who it was. It was some people living in towns just south of Harlan, I guess you call it town, Corley, a few houses. And they had been at the Chicken Hut the night before. The gentleman had a wooden leg, I guess, and I don't know if he had to help his wife that night, but anyway, he didn't realize where the purse was at. And I guess he opened the door to help her, and it fell out. And the thing I remember most is my eyes got real big when they come to pick up the purse, that they gave us a $20 reward. Although actually they didn't give us, they gave Jack the $20 reward. Because he actually found it, and he was going to take it anyway. So.
Yeah.
But lots of good memories of that Harlan, home place in Harlan, and Chicken Hut, and the golf course, which ran a half mile along the farm, and I spent my misspent youth, caddying to begin with. I caddied, lots of days. I worked in the golf course. I mowed greens, mowed fairways. I tended bar up there. When I got older, I worked in the pro shop. I did everything up there. It was my mother, Edith, made sure even though she was raised on a farm, but we lived on a farm. She didn't want Jack or me to be farmers. She knew that was a tough life. She was bound and determined we were both going to go to college. She had gone to college for a couple of years at Iowa State Teachers College in Cedar Falls back in the late 20s and early 30s. And she wanted us to go to college. And my brother went in 1950, and lo and behold, and when I graduated from high school in 55, I went off to college myself. But I would never have done so if it hadn't been for my mother. And to this day, I'm eternally grateful for her, encouraging me. No, it wasn't any choice, and I didn't go with any great joy, but it really worked out. I went and got my BA degree from Morningside College. I got a BS degree from the University of Iowa in healthcare administration. Went on to work in a healthcare